Hi folks, we're going to take a look at page 301, number 14 from the assignment. So here they give us this table of values, and we're just going to focus on finding a model for the data in this table. Now, if we wanted to get something a little more precise, it would probably help to have a scatter plot and maybe get a sense of where the actual maximum and minimum might be, but I'm just going to go for a rough model here. So in looking at this, what I want to try to find is I want to see if I can figure out where the maxima and minima occur. Ideally, I find both, so I know exactly what a full cycle is going to be, or I might just find one maximum, one minimum, find half the cycle. And what I notice here is that year 3, I've got 259. That's sort of the biggest value in this area here. And then in year 11, I get to 261. Now, while these are not exactly the same, again, we don't expect this to be a perfect function, but I would say this is how long it takes to go from one maximum to another. So it looks like it takes 8 years. All right, and if we look in between, so 4 years from now, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're very close to the minimum, even though sort of midway between these two, what I'm considering maximum values, we're not quite, year 6 has a few less people. We're in the ballpark. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use here. Is I'll use my first of all, my maximum. We'll say is here. What do we have? We have 261, 259. Let's say say 261 is the maximum, and then the minimum here, while it does seem to occur at around 212, it does go down to 209. So let's just take 209 as our minimum. Okay, again here, we're not going to get something exact. All right, and for our period, it looks like it takes about 8 years to get from one maximum to another. So I'll take a period of 8. Okay, so now I've got to determine, so with this I can determine A, C, and K. Now let's see if we need a phase shift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this value here, which is a maximum. So because I'm focusing in on a maximum, I'm going to use a parent function of y equals cos x. And I see here that the maximum is offset by 3 years. So if I start year 0 at the maximum, I actually want my maximum to occur 3 years afterwards. So that means I'm going to want to move this function 3 units to the right. Okay, so that's what's going to be, that's my phase shift here, is 3 to the right. Okay, so just recap of what I did is I looked for where, in this case here, my maximum occurred, and then I compare that to where it would occur without a phase shift, which would be at 0. So that's why I had to move 3 to the right. Okay, so it looks like we have enough information here, and I don't think I need the data anymore. So let's maximize this here. All right, so let's now start finding our parameters for our function. So our A value is going to be equal to 261 minus 209 divided by 2. So you know what? I don't feel like doing this in my head, so let's do it. 261 minus 209 divided by 2. Okay, so we've got 26. Then our C value, 261 plus 209 divided by 2. So 261 plus 209 divided by 2. Okay, 235. Okay, our K value is just going to be 2 pi over the period, which we said was 8 years. So that's pi over 4. And we've already established that our phase shift is going to be 3 to the right. And we've established our parent function. So here, if I let x be the number of years and y, actually, I forgot what we were calculating here. Is this number of employees? Yeah, looks like number of employees. Y be number of employees, then we can say that y is equal to 26 cos, since I'm using positive cos, of pi over 4 times, I need to move 3 to the right, so that's going to be t minus 3, or sorry, I guess I'm using x minus 3, and then plus my C value there is 235. Okay, and if I wanted to see how reasonable this was, I could just take that table of values, plot it on Desmos, and then graph this function to see just how close it comes to those values. Okay, so just to recap, when you're working with a table of values, especially if you're not going to be plotting the points, you're going to look for a fairly rough estimate for everything. So here we saw that we had two very close numbers that were sort of the largest in their respective neighborhoods. So we took these as being two maximums, which means that the whole cycle took, from here to there, took 8 years. So that's how we got our period. Our maximums, again, we took 261, the larger one. For our minimum, we just took the smallest value, 209. And then we determined that because we were focusing in on a maximum, we would use cos x, and that we needed to offset that by 3 units to the right. Okay, that's it for this one.